After weeks of soiling their trousers and panicking that the markets are cooked, something big is right now happening in the charts. And let's just say big may not be big enough. So if you see that something big, or at least average size, is about to come, hit that like and subscribe. Get signed up with FEMX or BITUNIX below. FEMX, using my link below, no longer requires KYC. Without any further ado, let's completely and absolutely dump into the price of Bitcoin. I'm just gonna say it right at the beginning of this video. I feel like something big's about to come. And something I want to take a look at, I find very interesting, and a lot of people clearly also do. Hyper bear whale went big time short on Bitcoin, now over short $500 million in Bitcoin, with a liquidation price at 85,600. So whenever you're watching this, I mean, we're like a 1% a 1% move away from that actually being triggered. A liquidation at 85,600. Losses right now approaching 2 million. This is absolutely insane, right? Kind of crazy. People, it's kind of crazy. You know, you're in crypto long enough and you see people that have so much money that they could literally just take it, walk away, and do anything realistically they'd ever want to do with their life. But that's not really what happens in crypto. The people that I've seen make the most money in crypto just can't seem to leave this space and just want to keep gambling, right? You make tens of millions of dollars, and then that's not good enough for most people. That's just human psychology at play, right? If I want to ask you this, if someone gave you, well, let's say you earned $30 million in crypto over the next couple of weeks. Most of you would probably think, okay, well, if I got that insane amount of money, I would probably take it and live my life and do whatever I want to do, right? You would think so, but for some reason, I don't think that's what most people that make that kind of money do. They just want to keep gambling, and it's kind of crazy to watch. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. Bitcoin literally just needs like another 1 or 2% move to the upside, and that position is gone. So we are watching that. This is big as well. Kevin Svensson talking about the weekly close. The parabolic trend is still intact. Ever so barely, but you can see still intact. And in fact, I think there are signs on the charts right now that Bitcoin is in fact gearing up for a reset, a move back up to the $90,000 plus range. We see a lesser known liquidity signal that TechDev points out on X that has fired twice in about the last decade. And both of the other times that it happened, Bitcoin continued up for 18 months, and we've just seen it. And there's a million different charts and indicators showing us that this is basically where I think we are in this cycle. But if you look at the sentiment and the common opinion of what people think of where we are, most people don't think that. Most people think we're cooked. Most people think that we're literally done with this cycle. Most people think that the cycle is over, right? And that's kind of crazy. I don't think it is, but I think that everybody needs to think that before we do go up. And thankfully, in my opinion, I think a lot of people, in fact, most people think we're done. I think a lot of people think we're cooked. We look at the stock market as well. Actually having the SPX is up today. Seemingly, could this go down over the next few weeks as a bottom? Let's say we recover a lot of these losses over the next few weeks. So we see the SPX on the weekly chart sitting right now at its 50-week moving average. Last time we visited it was back in October of 2023, before just booming to the upside. So the biggest correction the stock market has gotten in like well over a year, about a year and a half or so. And if the stock market starts rallying, especially if we start getting quantitative easing, and if we start getting money printing, then the stock market and Bitcoin are just going to go bananas. And people are going to be kicking themselves thinking I should have bought when Bitcoin was at 85,000 US dollars as it goes to 130, 40, 50,000 plus, right? But that is not what a lot of people think is going to happen right now. A lot of people think we're actually just going to do this down to infinity, zero and beyond. But right now, Bitcoin on the weekly chart even is sitting right on top of its 50-week moving average. Again, similar to what we saw back in late summer, early fall of last year before rallying. Bullish consolidation, I think, is kind of what my general opinion is of where we are. I don't think we're going to immediately pump, but I do think there's actually a strong case in the short term that we actually, potentially even this week, during this new trading week that just opened, potentially we see one of these where out of nowhere we pump back up to kind of into this mid-range, about the $95,000 level, kind of right in the middle of where we were trading for a couple of months before we broke down, like right here in this box. I wouldn't be surprised if we pumped up into this range, which from right here is about another 10 to 15% pump. So that would be exciting for portfolios. That's a nice trade opportunity as well. Altcoins would equally get a lot of gains. For example, Bitcoin's up a couple percent today, but a lot of alts are up double or even triple what Bitcoin is right now. And I think that overall, is Bitcoin putting in like a bottoming pattern? Do we have a potential another inverse head and shoulder pattern, right? Do we need one more little rejection here, come back down and put a high anywhere above 76,000 before going up? It's possible, but overall, I don't think what we're seeing is bearish. We're seeing the DXY continuing to crash, right? I don't, as I've been saying, I think the DXY is topped out for the next few years. SPX trying to put in some sort of recovery, trying to get some of these gains that have just been wiped out of the board, trillions of dollars over the last couple of weeks. The weekly chart for Bitcoin as well, bouncing right on the 50-week. The daily chart as well. I mean, look how oversold we are on the RSI and the MACD. We have bullish divergence on, I believe it's actually the weekly RSI for Bitcoin. Yeah, we have bullish divergence here on Bitcoin's weekly RSI. And the daily RSI and MACD, look at the MACD. It's the lowest on the daily that Bitcoin's MACD has been since back, actually kind of crazy, May of 2021. What was Bitcoin doing in May of 2021? It was this massive drop where people thought it was over, down to about 29K, and then it started the second leg of the bull market, especially where altcoins did really well there. So a lot of similar signals and things showing up just technically on the charts that we've seen before. But again, the fundamentals have never been stronger. So technicals are repeating that we've seen before that lean bullish. Fundamentals have never been more bullish for Bitcoin specifically. Obviously, the stock market and the broader macro picture is a little more bleak, but that could quickly change, especially as quite literally the Trump administration is intentionally trying to bring down these markets. And if that changes in the next few weeks, or they're satisfied with how much it comes down and how much inflation comes down, and they say, hey, let's actually start pumping this thing back up again, you will be shocked with how quickly this market will move back up. In fact, that is the name of Bitcoin. That is exactly how Bitcoin bull markets have gone, is that when they pump, they pump. And when they dump, they dump. Like there's most of Bitcoin is literally just sideways, but then the pumps are giglical, the dumps are giglical, and that's what you should expect. So people always underestimate how big the pumps and dumps are. The dumps are usually a lot bigger than people are expecting, but the pumps are as well. And right now, people are expecting a lot of dumps, and I just personally think that the bigger chance of the next gigantic, long, sustained, massive move is going to be to the upside. We haven't really had a gigantic move in a while. The last really gigantic move was probably back in October, going from about 69,000, nice, up to about 110,000. We've pulled back over the last few weeks, but it's not really been not like a crazy, I mean, altcoins have gotten dumped on, yes, but we're talking about Bitcoin, but it hasn't been like crazy bad or anything. And overall, this just looks like a setup to where we could see a lot of this ground get regained this week in a very short amount of time. Okay, let's say we put in one of these candles on a daily chart and we just do something like this. What is this? This is about a 15% candle. Let's say we put in a 15% daily candle. Pretty big. 85,000 up to about almost 100,000. But then let's be realistic. Then maybe we trade sideways for a couple more weeks or something, right? What would you think about that scenario? Either way, that would represent a short-term trade opportunity. But ultimately, I think the next macro trend, large trend, especially as the stock market gets back on track, if it does just have a strong bounce here and enters, it already has a decent correction. We've seen a pretty good correction. You can even see the RSI on the weekly for something like the S&P 500, even the daily chart. We could see this thing heat up again and get exciting again. Because right now it's not very exciting. It's pretty boring. And get somewhere with Femex or BITUNIX below if my Bitcoin altcoins or trade. Excited for me.